Think about the last time you cried. Maybe it was a bad day, a phone call you weren't expecting, a moment that just broke something loose. And maybe, just maybe, your cat showed up, sat on you, pressed their forehead against yours, or just stayed closer than usual. You probably called it a coincidence. You probably thought, cats don't understand human emotions. They're independent, indifferent. They only care about food. You were wrong, because, over the last decade, a growing body of peer-reviewed scientific research has uncovered something that is fundamentally changing how we understand the relationship between cats and humans. Cats are not emotionally oblivious. They are not indifferent to your state of mind. They are reading you, right now, with a level of emotional intelligence that most people never suspect. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the actual science, the studies, the experiments, the researchers who proved it. And by the end, you'll understand your cat in a way that will genuinely change how you interact with them. And near the end, I'm going to show you one experiment result that even the scientists said they didn't expect. Stay with me for that. I want to start by being honest with you. If you'd told me 5 years ago that cats can read human emotions, I would have been the first person to roll my eyes. Because everything we thought we knew pointed the other way. Dogs, yes. Dogs evolved alongside humans for tens of thousands of years specifically to read our faces and respond to our cues. That's established science. But cats domesticated themselves. They came to us on their own terms as pest controllers, not companions. They never needed to read our emotional states to survive. So the scientific consensus for most of the 20th century was, cats don't really pick up on human emotions. They respond to food cues, physical cues, and that's about it. That consensus started cracking around 2015, and then it collapsed entirely. Here's what changed. There was one specific discovery in 2016 that broke every model researchers had built about cat cognition. I'll get to that in a few minutes, and I promise it will surprise you. We've always thought of cats as these cool, aloof creatures, right? Almost like they live in their own little world, completely unbothered by our human drama. But what if that's not the whole story? What if they're actually paying very close attention, reading us in ways we never even imagined? The first big clue that shattered this old idea came from a research team in Italy back in 2015. These scientists had a really specific question they wanted to answer. Can cats tell the difference between a happy human face and a fearful one? And more importantly, does seeing that difference actually change how the cats behave? So, they designed a clever experiment. They had cat owners express two distinct emotional states, happiness and fear. This wasn't about big, dramatic gestures or over-the-top acting. It was all about genuine, subtle cues, real facial expressions and natural body language. The results were absolutely fascinating. The cat's behavior changed dramatically depending on the emotion their owner was showing. When the owners looked happy, relaxed face, open body posture, the cats were way more likely to come closer, to explore their surroundings, and just generally be more engaged and positive. But when the owners appeared fearful or stressed, tense, withdrawn, guarded, the cats completely shifted gears. They became more cautious, hesitant to move around, and much more alert. It was like they were mirroring their owner's emotional state. And this wasn't a one-off thing. It happened consistently, over and over again. Now, I know what a skeptic might be thinking right now. Hold on, maybe the cats aren't reading emotions at all. Maybe they're just reacting to the owner's movements, to their body posture. It could just be a physical cue, not an emotional one. And honestly, that's a perfectly fair point. It's a classic scientific challenge. But that's exactly what the next study decided to tackle head-on. They set out to isolate the emotion from the movement. In this next experiment, the researchers took the variable of movement completely out of the equation. They wanted to see if cats could still pick up on human emotions without any physical body cues to guide them. And what they discovered was even more mind-blowing. It raised a whole new set of questions about the hidden depths of the feline mind. You're going to want to see this. Stay with me, and I'll show you what they found in the next part. In 2016, a research team at the University of Bari in Italy published a study that would become one of the most cited pieces of evidence in this area. What the researchers noticed was this: when cats were presented with an unfamiliar or ambiguous stimulus, something new in the room, something they weren't sure about, they didn't just react to it. They looked at their owner first. They turned, checked their owner's facial expression and body language, processed that emotional information, and then decided how to react to the new thing. Researchers call this behavior social referencing, and until this study, it was believed to be something that only primates and dogs were capable of. Cats were doing it too, independently, without being trained. When the owner looked relaxed and positive toward the new stimulus, the cat was more likely to approach it. When the owner looked worried or negative, the cat avoided it. They were using their owner's emotional state as a decision-making tool, a social compass for navigating an uncertain world. Social referencing was previously documented in human infants at 10-12 months of age, and in dogs. Its presence in cats suggests a more sophisticated capacity for reading and using human emotional signals than previously modeled. Now I want you to sit with that for a second, because I think most people underestimate what this actually means. Your cat is not just reacting to your emotions. They are actively consulting your emotional state to make decisions about their own safety and behavior. They are, in a very real sense, treating you as an emotional authority, a source of truth about how to feel about the world. That is not coincidence. That is not instinct. That is a form of social intelligence. Okay, quick pause. If you're the kind of person who finds this stuff genuinely fascinating, you're going to love what's coming in the next few minutes. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what we're putting out every week. Alright, back to it. Because here's the part where the science gets deeply personal. Researchers didn't just study cats in labs. They studied them at home, with their real owners. And what they found in those homes is something you're going to remember for a long time. Lab studies are powerful, but labs are artificial. A cat behaves differently in an unfamiliar lab environment than in the home where they have lived for years. So researchers from Nottingham Trent University and Oakland University in the United States asked a different question. What do cats actually do when their owners are distressed in real life, at home, without any experimental setup? They surveyed hundreds of cat owners, and the patterns that emerged from that data were consistent enough to publish. Cats spent significantly more time in proximity to their owners during periods of owner stress, illness, or negative emotional states. They were more likely to approach and make physical contact, more likely to purr in proximity, more likely to orient their body toward the owner. And critically, this wasn't true for strangers in the home experiencing stress. Cats showed this behavior specifically and almost exclusively with their primary owners, which tells us something important. This isn't a generic response to nearby emotional distress. It is a targeted, relationship-specific response. Positive affect and learning, exploring the Eureka effect in dogs and cats. Oakland University and Nottingham Trent University. Cat owners reported consistent proximity-seeking behavior from their cats during periods of personal distress. Here's what makes this particularly significant. Cats were not trained to do this. They were not rewarded for doing this. There was no evolutionary pressure that explains this response. And yet, consistently and repeatedly, across hundreds of different households, cats were showing up for their owners in moments of emotional difficulty. The most likely explanation, according to the researchers, is that cats have developed a genuine sensitivity to the emotional states of the people they bond with. But how do they actually do it? What are they detecting? Because this is where the science gets almost uncomfortably precise, and it is the thing that genuinely surprised me when I first read the research. So we've established what cats do. Now the more fascinating question. How? What exactly is your cat detecting when they read your emotional state? The answer turns out to be multiple overlapping systems, and each one is more precise than the last. Detection System 1. Facial geometry. Cats have a visual system optimized for detecting small, fast movements at close range. But researchers have found they are also sensitive to the geometry of human faces, specifically to the configuration of features that signal emotional states. They appear to process the relationship between eyebrow position, mouth shape, and eye openness in ways that allow them to categorize faces as safe or threatening. not identically to how we do it, but analogously. Detection System 2, Vocal Tone. This one is perhaps less surprising, but the precision is. Cats distinguish not just between happy and angry human voices, but between subtle tonal variations within those categories. Research has shown they respond differently to a soft, gentle tone versus a sharp one, even when the words being spoken are identical. They are processing prosody, the music of language, rather than semantic content. And they've been doing it since kittenhood, learning the specific vocal patterns of their owner. Detection System 3, Physiological Signals. This is the one that most surprises people. Cats can detect changes in human cortisol levels, the stress hormone, through scent. They can detect elevated heart rate through vibration and proximity. They may be able to detect micro changes in skin temperature through the same systems that allow them to detect prey at close range. Your cat may know you're stressed before you've consciously registered it yourself. Science note. Galvan, M., and Vonk, J. 2016. Man's other best friend. Domestic cats humanize their owner's emotional cues. Cats demonstrated the ability to use owner facial and vocal cues as informational signals. Animal Cognition, 19-193-05. When you put those three systems together, facial reading, vocal analysis, physiological detection, you end up with something that is genuinely impressive. Your cat is running a continuous, multi-channel analysis of your emotional state. Every time you walk into a room, I told you at the start there was one finding that even the scientists described as unexpected. Here it is. Researchers studying the physiological responses of cats during owner emotional states made an observation that went beyond what they were looking for. Cats didn't just detect and respond to human emotional states. They appeared to experience something analogous to those emotional states themselves. Their cortisol levels shifted, their heart rate changed, their stress biomarkers moved in the same direction as their owners. Not as dramatically, not as immediately, but measurably. This is what researchers call emotional contagion, a phenomenon where one individual takes on aspects of the emotional state of another. It's been documented in primates, in elephants, in dogs. It is now documented in cats. When you are distressed, your cat doesn't just know you're distressed. At a physiological level, your cat feels something too. When you are calm and content, your cat may be calm and content alongside you. Not because of coincidence, because of a biological attunement that has developed through your relationship. That cat sitting on your chest while you cry. That cat who showed up after a hard day. That cat who slept closer than usual when you were sick. That wasn't random. That wasn't coincidence. That was a relationship. And they have been doing this, specifically calibrated to you, for the entire time you've lived together.